Data and information. This session is about data and information. When we think about data, when we think about information, then what are these concepts and what are the relationships and what are the examples? Okay, let's see about data and information. Input, process, output. Here we can see these two concepts. Yes. In an organization, any process, any situation, we can see we have raw material. We have raw material. So we collect them, we gather them, and then we are going to produce required output. That means we're going to use input, data, and we process them. Why do we need to process them? Data, when we think about its features, it's not complete. It's not meaningful. And using data, we can't make decisions. Using data, we can't make decisions. So we have to think about the way to process them, to convert them into meaningful process, meaningful form. Right. We gather data, then we process them, we apply some mechanisms and we process them into meaningful form. Normally, we know numbers, facts, text, images, those are data. Using this data, we can't make a decision because it is not a completed thing. So we can't have a meaning. Then we apply some mechanisms, we process them, we convert them into information. That means that is our output. With this image also you can see blue color side. The left side you can see we collect all the things, all the raw materials, raw facts we collect, and we are going to do processing. We process. There can be different processing activities. Then we will get our information. Information is one that's meaningful. It's completed and organized. So we can have a decision. We can make decisions and we can think about our future activities. We can forecast them. Right. That is data and information. Here we can see differences. Data versus information. What are the differences? Normally, we know with the meaning we can explain data or facts that has no specific meaning. Okay, it's not meaningful. We can't use them for decision making because of that feature, and it is not organized. Not only these things, incomplete. Data is incomplete. Right, but after having our processors, after having our processing activities, we can see our information that is meaningful and we can use them for decision making and organize and complete. Right. Though we can say these differences, there can be some similarities. Yes, data and information both that should be able to store. We should be able to store data and information, and that should be able, yes, data and information both. We should be able to communicate. Otherwise, how can we store them and share our data and information? Okay, that's regarding data and information. So here we can see there are two different types of data. Yes, when we discuss about data, we identify them as raw facts of something, and we need to go process them before before we turn it into something meaningful. Right. Those data, those raw facts, we can see there are two different data. Quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative and qualitative means what? Like there are some data we can measure, we can count. Quantitative or qualitative? Yes, that is quantitative. Like how old are you? Right, you may give me your answer. There is a number. And when we need to know about marks of a student, he may say, I have 98 marks. That's also quantitative. And what about qualitative? Right. We need to explain something like this. She's an obedient student. And Shanas is a good student. And it's a good content. Right. That means what? We can't calculate. We can't measure this. But there is a qualitative, quantitative and qualitative. Right. These two types of data we're going to use for our processing activities. Okay. Again, regarding qualitative and quantitative, some other examples are there. Yes, it's very clear now. What? Qualitative. Name, right. This is a name, his name is this, and it smells like this, and its color. But quantitative, now all of you know, it's very clear now. Quantitative and qualitative. Okay. Right. Now, before this slide, we discussed about data and information and their differences like that. Now, what happened here? There is an image and we can see some two processors. Yes, we can see two processors here. First part, what is that? Yes, first part, data. There is a process, we gather data or we input data, and here you can see here with that first process, it will give us one information. Okay. It collects data and process them and convert them into information. So you will get what? Meaningful and organized and completed more. Right, now what happened? There are some other situations. Those information we may use for another process. This is another process which convert data into information. And here we use data. What is that data? Earlier process we produced information. We have used them as data in this process. Okay, now we can see there are two processes. First process, it has collected some data and it has processed them into information. And then another process is there which uses those information as its input. That means it's data. There is another scenario. What is that scenario? Information of a process, this part, information of the process can be data for another process, can be data for another process. Right, let's take an example from real world experiences. Let's think about your classroom, your marks. Yes, your subject teacher will collect your papers and give you marks. That means what? She has done a processing. She has collected your papers and she has marked them and she has calculated total and she has produced a list of marks for science subject. And what about your class teacher? When she is going to prepare the final mark sheet for the classroom, she needs to collect all the subject mark sheets. Then it becomes what? It becomes data for his or her processing. Because he needs or she needs, your class teacher needs science marks, math marks, ICT marks, and all the other things. Those are data for her process. Then class mark sheet, or who is the first in the class and second in the class, everything she can produce and we can make decisions what happens. Here also you can see this conversion process. process. Okay, that's regarding data and information, and regarding this concept, information in one process can be a data to another process. Right, let's go to another part. Now we know we have generated our information. We have generated our meaningful information. That means we have gathered data. Those are not meaningful, not organized, not completed, but we have converted them into meaningful information. So now it's a valuable information. Can we say all the information, when we have our information, all these are valuable? How can we say like that? No, there should be a mechanism. There should be a method to. Calculate. But how can we identify valuable information? Just think about this session. If I'm going to give you, you are here to learn about your subject, ICT. But I'm going to explain something regarding commerce. Oh, I'm going to explain something regarding health. That's not related. Then what happened? You may say, no, I don't like it because it's not regarding ICT. It's regarding commerce or health, like that. That means if we need to have a valuable information, it should be relevant. It should be relevant. Now there is a concept now. You can see here what? It should be relevant. And another thing, when we make something, when we need to know something, we need to know about it completely. If one party, they are going to give all, they say, we are ready to give you all the data, all the information. But they give a partial, they give a part of that content. Then what happened? Now we can identify, this is not a complete message. This is not a complete content. What happened? We do not like it because we need to have a complete information, complete content. That is regarding content. Then what about accurate? It should be accurate. If we need something, if we need information regarding a particular content or regarding a particular thing, we need to have an accurate information. It should be correct. If it is not accurate, we may say, no, we can't trust them, so we have to go for another party. We have to use another source. That's regarding accuracy. And what about cost beneficial? What about cost beneficial? Normally, when we need to get something, when we need to collect information or anything else, because we need to make decisions, that's why we need information. What happened? We have to spend money. There is a cost, right? Our cost is higher than the what? Yes, higher than what we gain. Right. Our expectation is this, but we have to spend more money for that. Then we have to think about this cost beneficial point. Right. Then we may say what? We have to spend this amount of money, but it's not useful because we can't get that complete information or we can't get that complete content. So we have to go for another thing. It's useless. That means cost beneficial. And what about timeliness? If you're going to start your O-level ICT, if you're going to start your O-level examination, you are in grade 10, you're going to start your grade 10 content. But if I'm going to discuss about grade 9 or grade 8, we need all the previous content. But I'm going to explain about only grade 8 content. But if I'm going to explain regarding A-level, advanced level, then what happens? Yes, that's regarding relevance. Yes, relevancy. But another thing is that this situation, I need grade 10 content. I have passed, I have completed all my grade 8 content. Now it's not the time to get that content. Oh, let's take another example. there is a bomb blast and there is a TV program and they're going to give that publicity or give that news. But another channel is there. They're going to telecast another previous program 1 month ago, like that. Now what happened? No, as the clients, people, they need current situation. Then we have to think about timeliness because we need to provide information with these features. With all these features, we can have our valuable information, but if it is not simple and clear, it's very difficult to understand. It's not in a given form, framework. For grade 5 students, for scholarship students, if you're going to explain like advanced level, it's not clear, it's not simple actually. That means when we generate information, we have to think about the simplicity and clear. Yes, it should be simple and clear. Another thing, there are many other points, there are many other characteristics, but I have selected some characteristics only. Accessible, what happened is, okay, now our information is available, it's accurate 100%, and it's completed, and it's a complete information, and it's cost beneficial, and also it's relevant. But how can we access it? It's not accessible. It's in a CD RAM. But when we think about our computer lab, okay, we have on the USB flash drive available, but no CD-ROM is there. That means it's not accessible. It's a simple example, and there are some other examples. Our content, our information, it should be accessible. Otherwise, we can't use it. So these are some characteristics that we use when we think about valuable information. Okay, that's regarding information, valuable information. Right. Now we have discussed about data and information, and regarding information, there is another concept. What is this diagram? What this diagram explains? Right. Let's take your class mark. Let's take your class term test results. Right. Your assembly date is not today, but today assembly date is here. Let's take 10th March. Okay. But today, 6th March. Okay. When you discuss about this, and when you go to your teacher, then ask about your marks and other things, and our teacher has completed all the processing, all the activities, all the calculations regarding your mark sheet, and now teacher knows it. Teacher has the final sheet. Now you can now you can get to know what you're the first in the class. But you will get your report here, 10th March. But now you got that news. What happened? This is a very simple explanation, example. Now you got to know about this position now. You are the first in the class. Think about its value. Think about its value. It's at the highest place. But with the time, what happened? It will be low. We know the thing. We have, when we get it at the first time, what happened now? Its value is high. But with the time, what happened now? We know it already. I have received this message, so our value, its value is reduced. Okay, just think about the profit and loss of an organization. At the end of the year, all are waiting for the news. But after that period, you go to the next year and you start your other, and January, February, March, April, and now it's an old news. Yes, you know, when you get it first, its value is high, but with the time it will be low. That's why it says when its value is Yes, when you get it at the first time, its value is at the highest place, but with the time it will be a lower value. That is regarding data and information. That is regarding data and information. Okay, we can discuss, we can learn more about these things, but let's discuss only these things. Okay. When you think about data and information, there is another important point. What is that? Handling large volume of data. Yes, currently we can see in an organization, large volumes of data, number of transactions are there, number of employees are there, customers are there. So when we think about an organization, earlier we discussed about a simple explanation, simple situation regarding data and information. But when we think about this data, it's not a simple thing. Now, when we think about an organization, we can see huge, large number of large volumes of data. So what happened? How to handle them? What are the problems we have to think about them? What are the problems we may face? That's also regarding data. That's about big data. Right, large volumes of data, handling these large volume of data, there can be some issues. We have to waste time. There can be accuracy issues. There can be security issues. So its complexity is high. Right. That means we have to think about these issues and we have to address them. So we should be able to use proper methods to process them, to store them, to retrieve them, to generate required information. Yes. Data and information. Data and information, it's not a simple thing. We discuss with simple examples, but why do we need to know about it? Currently, we can see it's very important thing. It's a main requirement for an organization. How to identify them, how to capture them, how to store them, how to process them, how to generate required information. Right, that's regarding data and information. Okay, next, we can go with some other options. Where do we use these things? What are the processing mechanisms? Where do we apply ICT for these things? All right. Let's discuss it our next session. Thank you.